Welcome to Burning Daylight, the only podcast for the working cowboy.
Well, howdy there, daylight burners. Happy Wednesday. I hope the week is treating you all right. Been a cold one here, and we've had some moisture this winter, and I don't know how many of y'all have spent a winter in the feedlot, but you get some moisture in the winter, and you work in a feedlot, and it makes your job a little bit tough. Just a little bit tough, to say the least. It's harder on the cattle, it's harder on people, and it's harder on your horses. Right now, we got our feed alleys, and the roads around the yard are pretty dry. The pins are starting to clear out. However, the amount of moisture we had, the ground got pretty saturated pretty fast. And then it's been cold. Not sure what the temperature was this morning, but it was down in the teens for sure, possibly in the single digits. I'm not certain on that. What that does is it freezes the liquid shit that we have, and you get these little miniature mountain ranges that stand about 3 to 6 inches tall, sometimes even taller than that, how deep it gets. And then that makes it just treacherous for anything to walk. Cattle are sore-footed. We've been pretty lucky. We've had a pretty big increase in foot rot treatments, but overall, not terrible. Yes, we've been pretty lucky in that area, but just about everything's pretty sore-footed. And cattle don't gain as well. They don't perform as well. You spend more money on medicine. And if your cattle are getting sore-footed, and remember, they got a cloven hoof, meaning they got two parts to their hoof, two toes, whereas a horse has one. And so if a cow's gonna get sore-footed and they've got a little bit of flexibility in their toes, and a horse really doesn't, they're also gonna get sore-footed, and you get some stone bruises, you get some hoof abscesses, and you get some swollen hocks, and just general overall lameness. And it just makes everything a little bit hard. And I'm not complaining. I guess I am. But I don't mean to be woe is me. I just putting it in perspective. It's a shitty time of year to be a feedlot cowboy, and that's also typically why you're at your low point in your health. You have your biggest turnover from winter, and you also have your lowest employment rate, because it's a job that not many people want. Going back to the horses, I wanted to read an article. I guess it's a poem. See if I can find it here. And it's by Baxter Black, and I think it's pretty fitting. So the boys offer a toast to that creature tied to the post, but through all his ills and occasional spills, still gives us more than his most. He's black, bay, or he's brown, starl, spotted around. He eats that old hay even cows throw away, makes his bed on the ground, and machinery and pumps that paddle, and trucks and gates that rattle. By a mill that roars, he just does his chores. He come here to just punch cattle, see them 4 brands on his side, the ones that was burnt in his hide. He's been around and covered more ground than we'd ever care to ride. For beauty, he's often hard put, covered with mill dust and soot. But in a slick pen or a mud and snow blend, he'd go where you won't go afoot. Dust so thick you can't see, breathes the same air that you breathe. In the cold rain, he feels the same pain, numbs and stiffens your knees. When sun's beating down on your head, the rest of the day lies ahead. He's dreaming too of the ranch he once knew, for green grass and shade made a bed. Yep, he makes every step you take and feels every ache you ache, and sweats 2 for 1 every drop that you run, seldom asks for a break. But before we mount up and start, think twice of your 4-legged pard. When he seems short on brains, just give him the reins, 'cause boys, he's dang long on. So that's a little poem called To the Feedlot Hoss by Baxter Black. Baxter Black's, legend in the cowboy poetry world. And, his poems ring true more often than not. And, I think he hit it right on the nail, or hit the nail right on the head with that one. I'm riding my good horse right now, Miss Clara. And, I tell you, she's getting just a touch sour. I made the conscious choice not to take any outside horses last year just because I didn't know if it was going to be worth it. This whole pandemic shit has kind of thrown a wrench in all of our plans. And then, you know what? It turns out I probably made the wrong choice on that. Probably could have made out pretty well taking some outside horses because that government money was still out there. And, it kind of drove the horse market up. And, so I kind of missed a chance there, but you live and you learn. And at the end of the day, in the winter, I'd just as soon be on a horse that I know. And I know Miss Clara, and as much as she's getting a little attitude to her, I still know that as long as she's traveling right, she's gonna treat me right. We may have our little lovers spats in the morning. She threw her blanket not her blanket, her saddle pad on the ground this morning, and I was very, very tempted to just give her a good old swift belly kick, but I don't know what good that would have done, and it was kind of funny, really, because I threw the pad on her, got her brushed and everything. By the way, I found out the new show here on Burn It Daylight is Cattle News Central. Lindsey Johnson is a perfect length for feeding and saddling a horse. He typically runs about a 6-minute episode, and with 8 horses that we have here at the feedlot, I put it on, start throwing hay, and then go ahead and saddle up my critter for the day. All in that amount of time. It's about perfect amount to listen to the Cattle News Central. And I mean, really, podcast feed. So I think the numbers are doing pretty well so far, and I think they'll just continue to do better because McKenzie puts on a good show. Very informative, short, sweet, to the point. And funny, if you look at on her personal Facebook page, she gets a lot of really kind of asshole comments, mostly from older guys who are mad at the system and yet take it out on McKenzie. But she keeps at it, and seems like she's got pretty broad shoulders for a younger gal, and she's kind of a badass. So check that out. But I was feeding horses this morning and listening to that, and I brushed down old Clara and come around the corner with my saddle just in time to watch her reach back and just strip that blanket off and throw it right there in the shit and the hay and the dirt. And I just looked over at her and, well, sis, I get it. But that was a fun little trick you pulled. But we still got a job. So, sorry about your bad luck. You're up today. And she had a little ball on her back, letting me know that she was not pleased with my decision. But here she is now, head down, plodding through the pins. And if I gotta cut something, I know that, she'll be on her game. And the tough thing about a day like today, even though I'm on the best good horse, and she knows the job and she's damn good at it, you still kind of have to treat riding pins on a day like today like you're riding a colt. You got to give everything plenty of room, plenty of cushion, because your reaction time, your horse's reaction time, particular, your reaction time probably not slowed down much because, well, we're at the top of the food chain, aren't we, Clara? And sorry about your bad luck, but this is your job. And that's what we got to do. So here we are, and we got to make sure that horse can go ahead and make that cut with the delayed reaction time, with being careful enough to see where they put the feet down. Also, you're up and down off your horse several times a day, cleaning their feet out, which is I'm doing right now. And the hoof pick industry really makes a killing time of year among us Feedlot Cowboys. I would imagine it's pretty much the same for you ranch guys right now if you got some moisture. But as big of a pain in the ass it is, if you don't come and clean your feet out, especially if it's coming up on time to get a new pair of shoes, mud can stick in there pretty deep. And with that comes rocks and all the other accoutrements that make your day just lovely. So, it just takes a little longer. Luckily, this moisture, as much as it sucks here, is really good for you fellas over in People's Republic of California. And folks that it benefits over there typically end up being the good people that live in California. So, I'm happy for you. Sounds like you're going to have a little bit of grass this year. Snowpack is building. And, we might have some good irrigation water this year. We'll see. And because of that, we have been pretty steadily clearing out beef cattle from the feedlot. Being in the background in business, these cows, at least on the beef side, they don't stick around very long. 45 to 60 days, sometimes 90, just depending on grass, depending on where they're going, and the weather. Last year, we didn't have much moisture, and as a result, we kept our cattle a little bit longer, and instead of going back to grass with them, like we typically do, we usually take weanlings, and then we get them straightened out, and then they go over the hill to California, and then they're out on grass till they're ready to head to the finish yard. Last winter, there was no grass to be had, and in fact, we took a bunch of early weaned calves and fed them out here from a big ranch in California. We haven't had cattle from them quite some time, but you could tell when they showed up, that ranch was in a tough spot. These calves we had one load that averaged 200 and, is it 85 or 95? It was 285, 295, average weight coming off the truck. Little bitty shifts. Still balling and small enough where they could crawl through just about anything. And we spent, at least an hour every morning gathering those little critters up and, putting them back where they belong. So, it's, we're the industry where, in agriculture, we're the one sector of the ag industry where we don't particularly care for a lot of moisture. And it doesn't really matter what time of year we get it. It's usually not all that beneficial. How it goes. And it's, you feel a little guilty about it, bitching about moisture when somebody else in your business need it so desperately. I look at, like those guys up in North Dakota. I was, talking to Eric Mott, here a while back on the show, and, I had, a couple times had him on, and they finally got some moisture, and that's one of my favorite things on social media is watching Facebook and Instagram after a good rain, people who desperately need it. And those folks up in the Dakotas, dang sure needed it. And it's just, it's a beautiful thing to watch, just sheer joy of people, watching Mother Nature do what she does. It's, most of the time make us pull our hair. It's, it's funny, this whole climate change thing that we've got wrapped up into, and it's another one of those things that has got overly politicized. But it's funny when, especially us here in the agricultural business, whether we're raising animals or plants, crops, it is incredibly naive and narcissistic to believe that we can stop or change or alter what Mother Nature wants to do. And she makes it very apparent when we get a little too full of ourselves. Kentucky here this year with this past year, December, with all the tornadoes kind of came out of nowhere. And not that tornadoes are uncommon for Kentucky, but in December, a little different deal. And anybody who grew up out on the plains, we know tornadoes, know how devastating they can be. Well, we can also see them coming pretty well the whole time, because you live out on the plains, there ain't nothing to see, but you can see every bit of it, and including a tornado. But you get in those wooded areas, and it's a little harder to see the sky. And then all of a sudden, there's a, whatever size of tornado it is that dropping down on your head, and you didn't see it coming. That's a little spooky, I admit. I don't. I tend to get a little claustrophobic when there's too many trees around. It's just, I guess it's how it is growing plain. But going back to my original, it is awful. It's an awfully large amount of hubris. You guys, I don't even know exactly how to do it. But it's assuming that you know what you can do and you can change it with a very inflated sense of confidence. And that seems to be what we have with this climate change, narrative. I have no doubt in my mind that human pollution plays some sort of factor into altering the natural climate of the earth. I mean, you can just look at the water table in where I grew up. My dad has talked about it, where his granddad, when he homesteaded, was able to drill down about 30 or 50 feet, something like that, and hit water. And now you got to go down about 300. That's a pretty big change. Now, whether that's all man-made or whatnot, that can be left up to debate. There's very little debate to be had that says, oh, that is an issue. It's a big issue, especially if you live in part of the world where I grew up or where I live now. Water is a very, very, very resource, and one that more often than not, gets taken for granted. And just to think that we can just alter and fix the weather, climate, for good, and I don't know. I think it's a very misguided proposal, to say the least. But that's, like I said, the climate change deal. There's plenty of debate to be had about that, but it's one of those things when you work as close to the earth as we do in this business, you have a little more respect and you have a little more realization of how powerless you are against forces of nature, and I think that's a good thing from us. Maybe we don't convey it well as we should about how just unpredictable and cantankerous Mother Nature be. But we're all very well aware of this. Everybody who has been in this line of work for very long has experienced extreme drought, extreme cold, extreme heat, and at times extreme precipitation in short amounts of time. That's typically how Mother Nature works. She'll tease the fuck out of you. Just talk tease like the son of a bitch. Clouds here and there, and maybe you're going to get a real turd. Those unfamiliar with that term, when you get so much rain in your pastures that dried up cow turds start floating along with the water, turd floater. It's a very scientific term. I'm not sure who did it, but it was a very smart, educated person, I can assure you. But you get cockteased thinking that you're going to get a real turd floater and you won't see a drop of rain. So, and then when it does, you'll get 18 inches of snow dump on you, or you'll get, 3 or 4 inches of rain within, an hour or less. And next thing you know, you're flash flood. And, it's just, it's always a constant battle with Mother Nature. And is it a bad thing? Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. It just is. You're always fighting the weather. It's how it is. It's how it's always going to be. Because as easy as we've made it to procure food at your local supermarket or wherever, we've got a lot of food available now, but very few people realize how truly difficult it is to provide those foodstuffs to be procured at your local supermarket. And we've made it look very easy over the past 20, 30, 40 years, and made great technological leaps and bounds to not only increase productivity and efficiency, but overall kind of create a surplus and help help feed the rest of the world. Some of those things may be good, may be bad. One particular deal, the GMO question, we've been told by companies such as Monsanto and Pioneer and DeKalb and all these other seed producers that GMOs are next to harmless, and there's no need to be worried about them. Of course, there's a big debate that rages on the other side, and I may not agree with them, but I'm sympathetic to their arguments because, as I explained on one of the, I think it might have been the first episode I did with Mackenzie, how untrustworthy some of these big companies can be, in particular Monsanto. So there's all these different things that can be good. Roundup can be good; it'll get rid of weeds for sure. But also, there's pretty compelling evidence that links glyphosate to cancer and other deadly diseases. And it seems too often that us on the agricultural side turn a blind eye to that and kind of stick our head in the sand and ignore it, which I can understand. You're making a crop, you're doing the best you can with what you got, and you get Roundup, and it's relatively cheap and seems to work pretty good. So we'll just go ahead and trust the science. When we ought to take a look at it. It's just, I don't know. And then, of course, in the winter, even though it seems like you got more work to do just because of the conditions, well, we've got roughly half the amount of cattle that we had 3 weeks ago. And my days have not shortened at all. The workload hasn't lessened. Now that's fine. I'm not complaining about the workload. It's part of it. Part of the job. We all knew the implied risks and struggles and just overall pain in the ass that comes with the job when you signed up. Or if you didn't know when you signed up, that's what we call naivete. And you find out real quick just how deep you are. But it's it doesn't make a guy at least kind of bitch about it a little bit. And if there's anything us cowboys are good at, it is bitching about stuff. That might be my highest level of education is in the art of bitching. And but that's just part of being a good cowboy. It's learning how to bitch effectively. So I'm still working. So, but one of the requirements to being a cowboy is learning how to bitch. Being a good cowboy, you got to learn how to bitch effectively. And so I'm somewhere in that limit, working on being a good cowboy, learning and working, studying to bitch more effectively. The bitching part I've got down. Effectiveness, hit or miss. But there seems to be more hits the more that I bitch. Percentage wise, I've never really ran the numbers on it. So, what we're working. Miss Clara, on the other hand, she I've had this horse sold no less than 3 times. And for whatever reason, the sale always fell through. And part of my problem was I was dealing with a horsey woman, I should say, from eastern Kansas. And I was on the verge of making some hellacious trades. And they always fell through, and I was always disappointed for a minute until I had to go get a job, grab a good horse, and I was still have Miss Clara there. So, yeah, no regrets on that. There might have been a short minute of disappointment, but as far as regrets, I got nothing. No regrets. No tattoo yet on the regrets, but maybe if anybody is a Western artist out there and they wanna draw me something no regrets, I would gladly accept it and promote the shit out of your stuff. But I don't know, going back to kind of the beginning of this whole ramble. It's been a while since I did one on horseback, by the way, so welcome back to the old days of Burning Daylight. Yeah, I just wanted to get my hat out there to the rest of the Feedlot Cowboys and Cowboy Girls and everybody that helps keep this fed cattle industry going. For all of its flaws, I think we've got a pretty good way of doing things here in the U.S. of A. On the cattle and beef side of things. There's a lot of things to be changed to help out the producer and whatnot. There's no doubt about that. It's a hot topic, always will be, always has been. But overall, when you look at how we run things here compared to the rest of the world, we do a pretty damn good job. Pretty damn good. And I think we should all be proud of that fact. And I haven't used this term in a while because, well, I just kind of slipped away from me. I forgot about it, whatever. And, but going back to my roots, which is, hock deep and shit in the feedlot pen, is my roots in this, or the foundation of my cowboy career. It's a job that very few people want, and even fewer people undertake, and even fewer ones that stick it out and make a good hand. As soon as I work on the effective bitching part and get that up to snuff, I'll be a good feedlot hand.
Well, sorry, folks. I hate to interrupt this riveting, transfixing conversation that I got going on right now, but I got some people that helped me put this show on the air, and I got to tell you about them right now. So first and foremost, we got Tracy Morrison, Custom Silver. He's out of Chelsea, Oklahoma. You know him from the show. You've seen his work all over my social media, and he just does a really good job of building cool cowboy shit. Buckles, bits, spurs, conchos, anything along those lines, he can hook you up. His engraving has, he has got way better. He was pretty damn good when I first started talking with this guy. But man, he's increased a bunch since then, and he's doing it full time now. So he's making really good work. He's pricing it for the working cowboy, and he's building it for the working cowboy. You can find him over on Instagram at @tmorrison _custom silver. Let him know you heard about it on the Burning Daylight podcast. Next up, we got Scott Jason Hall. You know him from the podcast as well. He's an old buckaroo cowboy, and he is a master jeweler. He can do goldsmithing, silversmithing, golden platinum inlays, and he can also do repoussé, which is the cutting and setting of gemstones, just like this turquoise you see here. He made that for my wife, and he is an artist through and through. He also does a pen and ink sketch, and he's just, he's one of my good buddies, and just a hell of a cowboy, and even, just his artwork is just incredible. So you can find him over on Instagram at Cow Camp Life, or over on Facebook, Hall's Rocky Mountain Jewelry, and let him know you heard about it on the Burning Daylight podcast. Next up, we got Brittany Hesseltine and SquareTop Leather and Design. Brittany is making cool leather gear for the working cowboy and cowgirl. She's out of Pinedale, Wyoming, and she she does really cool stuff. She's making me a pair of leggings right now, and I can't wait to see how they turn out. She does, leggings, shotguns, bat wings, chinks, Arminas, all that, head stalls, breast collars. She does purses for the ladies or for the dudes if that's what you're into. We don't judge. Well, yeah, we judge a lot over here, but it's all in good fun. And hey, if you're a man and you want a leather purse from Brittany Hesseltine, you can find her over at SquareTop Leather and Design. Got a underscore in between all the words there. So go check her out, give her a follow, let her know you heard about it on the Burning Daylight podcast. And next up, we have Cardomax.com. They are hold on, let me get that pulled up. Cardomax.com. They are the best. Where are they? There we go. They are the best supplement company out there. They're owned and operated by a former Navy SEAL Sean Matson, and they're doing all natural. Least amount of ingredients they can in all of these supplements. The hydration, the Hydromax. That's a really good one. I use that every day. The immunity booster as well. Got a bunch of adaptogens and a bunch of other shit in there that I don't know exactly what it means, but it sure makes you feel better when you drink it. Energy intensifier if you don't like coffee or if you need something like middle afternoon. It's also use it as a pre-workout. I haven't tried the recovery accelerant because I don't work out a whole lot, and but I might try that sometime. I don't know. We'll see. Either way, these two up here, immunity booster and hydration stuff, I use all the time, and you should too. Head over to cardomax.com. Use the promo code MOVEYOURASS for 10% off. And next up, we've got Greene's Reserve. They are a all natural. They're all natural tobacco alternative made from 100% hemp. And they got 3 flavors: menthol, wintergreen, and natural. I chew the natural. It's kind of like a straight flavor, like Copenhagen straight or a Skull straight. It's kind of the flavor of that one. Wintergreen and menthol. I haven't tried those yet, but I kind of want to try this menthol. There's no THC in it. I don't know if there's any CBD in it or not, but it seems like it kind of helps me focus a little bit. So a lot of times when I'm researching, I'll throw one of these in instead of Copenhagen. But it's a healthy alternative, and it's a cool product. And yeah, go over to greensreserve.com/shop. Use the promo code MattGR, and you'll get $1 off a can or $5 off a roll, and I get a little kickback from it. So yeah, if you're looking to try something different, check these guys out. And finally, if you don't like to listen to the ads, you can just head over to patreon.com/burning-daylight. You can sign up there at any of these levels, and you can get different benefits. You'll get ad-free episodes for every level, but each level's got different perks. Should you join, and helps me do some different cool things for this show, and whether that be new equipment or trips or whatever. And I'm going to get back to doing the giveaway every month, and we'll get some cool handmade gear for you guys to get a chance to win. So and it just, like I said, just helps me out. So I appreciate everybody that has signed up. We got 47, I think. 44. And so that's pretty cool. Anyways, thanks to everybody that supports this. And if you'd like to become a member, just head over to patreon.com/burning-daylight. Now let's get back into the show.
Till then, I'm okay. Feel all right. My numbers are acceptable. And it's also my heart goes out to everybody who's in a great big corporate yard right now. I got out of the corporate world as quick as I could the first time. Then I went back to the corporate world and made it a little bit longer before I realized that maybe those big corporate deals ain't for me. The money's pretty good while it lasts, but you also find out how dispensable a fella is when you get to work in the corporate type structure. So hats off to you guys that still work those yards. Somebody's got to, and I'd rather it be you than me. But it's people like us that keep this whole thing running, I guess. That's not taking anything from the producer, taking anything from the packer. Huge fans of over here on the cattle side of things, but they're necessary. You gotta have them. And we do things differently? Absolutely. However, they do a lot of work, a lot of very important work for us, and help keep this thing going. So much as we can't stand them, we kind of need them. But I think we're going to start seeing some changes around. We're going to have Trey Wasserberger back on the show on Sunday. If you're a Patreon member, you'll be able to watch that live. I believe we're gonna try to get going around 1 o'clock Central Time. My time will be 11 o'clock. 2 o'clock on the East Coast, and it'll be myself and Mackenzie will be hosting Trey Wasserberger. He's going to update us on the progress they've made over at Sustainable Beef LLC, and don't have a real set in stone in the what we're talking about. Updating us on the progress they've made, where they're going from there. But I think that's going to be a really good conversation. I'm excited to see what all we talk about, see what Mackenzie has that she wants to ask about, and I think you'll like that. So that'll drop Monday noon Eastern. Feed be live on Patreon, and we'll post that out as an audio podcast just as soon as we get done recording for the Patreon subscribers. So you get a little early. We may even have a bonus episode for you next week as well. We'll see how that goes. Even though things are starting to slow down, and I think we're gonna be slow for a little while, that's good for your ears, I guess. If you enjoy listening to what we do. We'll have a little more content for you this winter once things really slow down. But to get everything to slow down, you gotta bust your ass like hell to get everything done. As soon as we get the rest of these beef cattle shipped, it's gonna be pretty easy money. Might even break out the old GoPro, and I'll show you the shots that I catch on. We'll just go ahead and skip through the terabytes of shots of me missing. Because as much as you'd like that for a little while, get pretty old pretty quick. So we'll have time to do that stuff, and maybe we'll get a whole big slug of Mexican cattle this spring. We'll see. We'll see how the weather goes. I don't know. One thing always depending on is what is the weather going to do. And as we've covered, Mother Nature can be a real fickle bitch. So we'll see how the spring plays out. Hopefully, I don't know what the acreage numbers are over in California, Oregon, and Washington, but after the past couple of years, the 5 years that coming up on 5 years I've been out here in Nevada, You would think they're running out of trees to burn up in California. But, of course, with these big fires, typically get followed by some big rains, and that leads to more growth. And, of course, it's California, so you can't cut anything down that grows. But you sure look at it and watch it burn. So probably have a very active fire season again. I thought my lungs had been through all the ringer they were going to be growing up on the high plains and with the dust and sometimes smoke. But good thing about the plains, it burns hot, burns fast, out fairly quick. You typically don't have these wildfires rage for weeks on end out there on the plains. The fuel source is more combustible and burns hotter and faster. Maybe not burns faster, sure. But then you get out, you get these California fires, Oregon fires, Washington fires, and even some Nevada fires, and they burn for weeks on end, and the smoke is thick, and it just adds another layer to your lungs. So I'm sure when they do my autopsy, when I die, my lungs are gonna look like an old black piece of leather. But that's how I want it. I'm gonna get every bit of use out of those fuckers that I can. And yeah, as far as the feedlot, I'll be here for the foreseeable future. I set a 5-year goal for myself to be able to do podcasts full time. And but we're coming up on the 3-year mark, 2.5 years now. And we're getting closer. Halfway there. My deadline, whether we make it or not, I don't know. But if we don't, I'm happy where I'm at. Work for an outfit that treats me extremely well, and they appreciate whatever skills I may have at this job. So, yeah, if I don't make it in 5 years, well, it'll be a little bit of a disappointment, but I can also say that it won't bother me that much. Pretty decent at what I do here, so as long as I got a job in the house here, it's where I'll be until I can do otherwise. And I'm looking at a winter full of spots without any real cattle. But good thing about Holsteins is don't really have to worry about one hooking you. And they make for really good roping practice because you can throw and miss to your heart's content. You can probably still find one that will sit there and watch you make your practice swings and throw your big fancy loops, and probably sit there and stare at the loop as you miss, and then go ahead and follow it back up to your horse as you're coiling back up. And so then you got to push them away a little bit so they can stand out there and watch you swing again. And they'll follow that loop as you miss and coil it back up. But at least when they're coming back up that rope, they're not doing it with a snort. They're just trying to catch that loop and chew on it a little bit. That's what they do. So, back to being a Holstein farmer for a little while till we get some of the Hispanics in. My people, my type of cattle. Not really. Ugly suckers. Hardy. Ugly. I guess I could note on the apparel that I wear during the winter. It doesn't change a ton from spring and summer. I still wear the same pair of leggings that I in the winter that I wear in the summer. Ones I have now, Kelly Tipton made. He's out of Syracuse. Goofy little fella, makes really nice leather stuff. and I've had them for 3 years now, and they're just about done. They got a little bit more life to them. They're about done. And I can't wait to see what Brittany Hesseltine comes up with on the leggings she's making me. I'm having her make me a pair of shotgun cuffs on the bottom, and then the belt or the apron be kind of like Arvida's, fringe across, belt. I think they're gonna look pretty sweet. She's gonna use her imagination, use her skill on the carbon tooling of the leather. So I don't know what they're gonna look like, but I know they're gonna be cool, and I'm excited to see that. Good pair of leggings is pretty essential whether you're outside or inside. Some guys don't like to wear them during the summer because, of course, things get hot. I tend to wear them because it makes my jeans last longer, and kind of keeps the sun from beating down on your legs quite as bad in the summer. And in the winter, it's pretty self-explanatory. You got a big, thick piece of leather covering your legs that going to insulate you at least a little bit from the elements. That leather gets pretty stiff and cold and brittle, but you keep a little bit of layer of air between your leg and that leather, and so you have a little warm air pocket that insulates you a little bit, and it helps. It really helps. I did not put any caps on this year. I usually trade for a pair of bullnose or bulldog caps, sheepskin lined if I can, but I didn't bother with it this year, and I've got a pair of tech boots that I need to send and get resold. They're had them also third at them. I got them 3 years ago, and it's about time. I got tech soles on them, and I will say they're nice because they don't wear out that quick, but they're not as comfortable as leather. So send those back, and I will probably get leather soles on them. I will continue to wear those until they fall apart, and then the pair that Jake Houston made to me steps up, and they'll go with them. As far as other clothes, layers, folks. All the layers you can stand. The colder it gets, the more you look like the Michelin Man, and the more likely you are to have to step up a bale of hay or a bucket to get your stirrup. If you got caps on, it makes it that much harder to catch a stirrup because they're heavier and bulkier, and it's just there's always give and take with this type of stuff. So more layers definitely keep you warmer, makes it harder to move, which also makes it easier to sweat, which is fine until you stop sweating, and then your sweat freezes, and then you're cold for the rest of the day. But that's just feedlot life, baby. I used to wear the Under Armour cold gear. That stuff is a lifesaver, but Under Armour knows it, and they are very proud of their products. A little spendy, and is it worth the money? To a certain extent, yes, it is. But if you're not looking to spend your entire paycheck on a set of long underwear, the Hanes thermal underwear from Walmart work just fine. Wool socks are essential. Not only are they warm, they stay warm even after they're wet. Costco is an excellent place to stock up on wool socks. Not only are they pretty cheap, they are very well made. Wool anything is good, because wool can get wet and it'll still keep you warm. There's something about the natural fibers, whether it be like horsehair and McCarty, rawhide, Bozell, Riata, Honda, whatever, sheepskin, mohair, wool, all that stuff. There's synthetic stuff that works okay, but it's just not as good as that natural fiber. So whether it be on your tack or your apparel, natural fiber is always better. I will say that I tend to not use a mohair cinch when it's nasty and sloppy. That manure is very acidic and it tends to eat through leather and natural fibers pretty quick if you don't keep them cleaned off. So I use a best choice something or other cinch, neoprene. It's a lot easier to keep clean, and they do a good job of making their neoprene, but it doesn't gall your horse up. It's not a straight neoprene cinch, but it's I forget what it's called. I'll step down and see. Pro's Choice Vent Tech is what I use for my cinch, and it's nice. Like I said, that neoprene liner is held on by Velcro, so you can just take the whole thing off, hose it down, and it cleans out really nice. You also don't have to cut your horse in two quite as bad when you're cinching up in the morning because it's a little grabbier. So it's a nice cinch, and especially for when it's sloppy. Once it dries out, and I don't have to worry about hosing shit off of my gear. I go back to a mohair cinch. The one that I have now is, get her name, Rocky Mountain Mohair. She's out of Colorado. I got a cinch. Those are the way to go, as long as it's not sloppy. Upper layers, wool vest is good. I'm a big fan of the vest. I'm a big fan of breast pockets. I'm a big fan of inside pockets. I always keep a pen, phone, shoe in my shirt pockets or vest pockets in the winter. Underneath that flannel. Underneath that, I have another sweater that I bought. And then, depending on how cold it is or windy, wind is a big deal. I have a big wool coat that I bought at a thrift store for $12, I think. So, well spent $12. It's big and heavy, and I typically don't wear it unless it's, in the single digits, or it's pretty chilly and the wind is blowing. It does a good job of blocking the wind. Denim jacket does very well for that too, especially if it's not brutally cold, but the wind has a bite to it. Good denim jacket does well. I recommend branded denim. You guys all know that. Kelly Martin's a badass, and all that shit's made here in America, and she sends you a pocket constitution with every order instead of donating your money to anti-gun groups. So that's why I buy branded denim, and jeans are comfortable. They last longer, and if you don't like them, all you have to do is let Kelly know, and she will do everything she can to make you like them. Make it right. She's that type of lady. So I do business with her. You should too. You can ask partner Jordan about the denim jackets. He won one. Jake Nelson, he won a jacket or a pair of jeans. Can't remember. Partner's going to be helping us auction some stuff off. Look forward to that a bunch. That is coming up real quick. You've probably seen posts about it, but it's going to be a good time. 28th, 29th of January, 8 o'clock is when we'll take the stage at the stage door in Elko, which is catty corner. Stockman's, about block or two from the Star, just across the little plaza from the Folk Life Center. So we're kind of right in the heat of the action. Sounds like the Folk Life Center is going to try to do some things. Outside Circle's still going to do Outside Circle, and Burning Daylight going to do Elko. So we'll be there 28th, 29th, myself, Sam McHugh, Matt and Rachel Wilson, and Eric Shields for sure. Eric's out of Oklahoma, right up there on the Texas line. He's buddies with Chauncey Westner. Good guy, sings really well, plays guitar good, and can't wait to see what he brings on. I have several poems that I'm going to recite. I've got a few originals. I've got a few from listeners that I want to highlight, including Dan Hartman, Cody Hammond, and Samson Moss. So they've all sent me some stuff, and I'm going to be reciting them as well as a few of my own. Tell some jokes, tell some stories. And we're just going to have a good time. Care what the Life Center is going to do. We're putting on a show. And the second year, I hope to see more of you all there this year. $10 cover at the door, but we'll make it worth your while. Also, if anybody would like to donate some handmade gear to an auction, the benefit auction for Calamity Cass, y'all may know her. She's a friend of the show. He got boogered up pretty good in a car wreck earlier last year, or late last year. I think it was in November or December. And racked up a pile of medical bills, as you know. One tends to do when they end up in a wreck like that. So we'll be auctioning off some stuff. I don't know for sure what we'll have. It'll be good stuff. And all the proceeds will go to Calamity Cass. Alleviate some of the financial pressure that comes along with boogering yourself up in a car wreck. So happy to do that. Like I said, she's a friend of the show. She's for all intents and purposes a single mom at the moment, and she probably used our help. She didn't ask for it, but kind of made that decision, and so partner's going to help us auction that off. All in all, it's going to be a good show. Wait for it, and hope y'all, if you're in town, you can make it. Swing by. It's going to be a good time. Friday and Saturday night. Right about the time we're wrapping up will be right about the time the Outside Circle gets going. I know I don't know what their lineup is for sure, but they always kind of bring the heat. I know Kenny Fiddler's playing there, and a few others. So there's going to be some good entertainment in Elko this year, and don't miss out. It's going to be fun. Everybody else that is limping along through this winter weather, I hope the rest of the winter treats you well. I hope you get some moisture when you need it, and if you don't need it, well, we could always use the moisture. So when you're bitching about it, just remember that even though we got to slop through the mud and the muck, all that moisture helps somebody out. And may not be us here in the pens, but I won't bitch too much about it. It's helping somebody out a lot. And we'll get through it as we always do. Clara, as long as she's traveling right, she'll do a good job of taking me through this nonsense. Ms. Lori, also known as Karen, recovering from a little lameness issue. So she's been off for a little while. I'm sure she's going to be pissed and vinegar when I get back on her. But yeah, she'll do just fine too. She won't be as sure-footed as Miss Clara. She's not careful for the most part. It's not really her thing. She's more of a go, and we'll worry about consequences later. But That's also why she doesn't get caught as much when conditions are constant. Could she use the experience? Probably. She's had plenty of experience, and at this point, she kind of is what she is. And I know that she's a better horse for when the footing is a little more secure and drier, and we don't have to be as careful. Same thing for Bingo. He'll get through it just fine. You got to be a little more careful. He's a lot of forward motion, not a lot of caution. Molly, Mustang mare. No, she's a Mustang mare. About what I can say about her. She has got a giant head. Not much to look at. You can dang sure see it. And she's kind of counterfeit, but she's honest about it. So I use her when I don't have to worry about much. When I can focus on dealing with that hammerhead and don't have to focus on a whole lot else, that's when she gets rode. She is for sale, $30,000 for best offer. Trades allowed. She is for sale, not on sale. I know what I got. If you'd like to take a look at her, well, you know how to get a hold of me. And everybody else that is able to hunker down inside during these winters, go ahead and fuck yourself. I don't blame you for it, but still, just know you can go ahead and fuck yourself. And we'll keep doing the things that keep this business chugging right along. And tip of the hat to everybody else there in the feedlot. Know your pain, but just remember, spring always comes. And sometimes it takes forever, it feels like, but nonetheless, spring always comes, always will, unless the climate change gets us. And then, well, I don't know what, we'll figure it out we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Until then, I'm going to keep slopping through these pins, hoping Clara doesn't break an ankle, and move your ass. We're burning daylight.
Hot coffee is waiting, he's contemplating moving to a country where the mercury don't drop. He looks forward to summer, why he don't leave, he wonders. He must love this life, or he's too dumb to stop. His spurs, they're jingling, his toes, they're tingling. Frosty breath rises like warm chimney smoke. He's calving cows on stormy nights, he's been riding since daylight. Trots for the house, but he'd sure like to load. They call it a country where a cowboy is king, where a peaceful day's ride is easy on your mind. He wonders if he can hold out one more frigid, high, lonesome winter time. He cusses the snow, but he's still gotta go. To shirk any task would be a blow to his pride. But the winters seem colder, each year he grows older, making him as bitter as the wind outside. They call it a country where a cowboy is king, where a peaceful day's ride is easy on your mind. He wonders if he can hold out one more frigid, high, lonesome winter time. Once mended, the pain he thought ended, return each season with the coming of the storm. And old flames he had kindled, he once thought long dwindled, return late at night, but no longer are warm. They call it a country where a cowboy is king, and a peaceful day's ride is easy on your mind.